Hello world, welcome back to my channel Slaveformusic, and today I want to talk to you about the UK-based band that is called Vexed. The band Vexed currently consists of Megan on vocals, Jay on guitar, Al on bass, and Willem on drums. If I butchered the names, please let me know, and I am sorry in advance. The reason that I want to talk about Vexed is because earlier this year they released a first ever album that is called Culling Culture, and they released it on Napalm Records. Yes, this band is signed. This metal band is signed to Napalm Records, and I could not be more excited about this. Vexed was one of my finds this year, and when I heard Culling Culture, when the album got released and I listened to it from the first track to the last track, I fell in love all over again. This metal band has the amazing future in front of them. If you like what you hear today in this video, then I would love to encourage you to follow the band on their social medias, stream Culling Culture, go to their shows. All the links to the Vexed socials will be down in the description below. Don't forget, don't hesitate to check them out. But without further ado, let's start with the Culling Culture album review. The album starts with an introductory instrumental track called Ignorance that acts as a gateway into the brutality and condensed hatred that this album is. This was actually one of the last tracks we wrote for the album. We were beginning to see the end of the recording process, and we knew that the album needed an opener. The album is so heavy in places, we wanted a track that would introduce the listener into what was to come. We had the riff for some while but couldn't manage to ever write it into a song, and so when it came to figuring out what to write, it almost just fell into place. As the title suggests, this song is literally just an ignorant, heavy as hell track with all the added gunshots, sirens, vocal wretches, and chaos that we could fit in. Then we dive right into the angry track that will get stuck in your head for weeks on end, and that is Hideous. I remember after a long night of being in an argument with the person that this song is about, I woke up the next morning feeling completely exhausted and enraged. I got out my pen and paper and just wrote down the words that I had wanted to say but didn't. The first thing I wrote was, "All I see is hideous." This individual is incredibly vain and obsessed with their looks. They thought it was acceptable to use their looks and body as a way to take advantage of and manipulate vulnerable people and ultimately toss them away when they were done with them. I wanted to get a point across that it doesn't matter how beautiful you are on the outside. If your intentions are to hurt others, then it's completely obsolete. You're just hideous. First thing my mind goes to when I'm listening to this song is influencer culture. Manipulating public view of you, carefully calculating the drama you get into so that it'll bring you more attention, more followers, etc. All of those people that use fame to manipulate public's view and public's opinion of them, and that use their fame and their power essentially to use and abuse others that are more vulnerable. To me personally, this song just screams those themes. Next, we met with an aggressive and somehow even sobering track called Fake. There was someone very near and dear to us who was in a very toxic relationship, and it was unbearable to watch. We regularly spoke to them about it and tried to help them understand that they were being gaslighted and deserved far better. At what point they actually agreed with us but said they couldn't leave. This song is very sobering to me, yet it is very angry type of sober. I would even say that this feels frustratingly angry. When someone you care about is in a toxic relationship and you try to get them out of it, but yet, even with the understanding of the dynamic of that relationship they're into, they're still choosing the toxic person over their friends, over their family, over everything essentially. And they shut you out. Even though they know what kind of a relationship they're into, they admit that, but still they refuse to leave for some reason. It happens to a lot of people. They turn the blind eye, they chase away the people that wish good upon them in favor of someone who manipulates them, who gaslights them. And for a lot of people, this pattern is somehow impossible to get out of. Because of all the gaslighting and manipulating, their self-worth is diminished, and they truly believe that this relationship and this treatment is what they deserve, even though it's not. Epiphany is more gentle and melodic, yet the brutality and anger never. It was a super personal topic about my experience with self-loathing and online ridicule. For a while, a hate I received after our first single got to me so badly that I wanted to quit music altogether and my mental health plummeted. But the guys on Vexed really helped me understand how to fully not give a fuck about other people's opinions of me. I learned that the only opinion that actually matters is the one I have of myself, and that opinions aren't facts. Epiphany is my way of saying fuck you to all of those who choose to preach hate and watch me love myself. The vocal melody, vocal choices on this song are really very refreshing after previous songs of like pure screams and growls from Megan. It's quite nice and actually really surprising to hear such beautiful, high, clean vocals from someone who previously screamed her guts out. This particular song makes me think body positivity. Our society has some harsh beauty standards for women. This image is destructive, definitely not healthy, and perpetuates harmful behavior. A lot of people will attack women very aggressively online because they don't look perfect in their opinion, but that perfect doesn't exist, actually. It's impossible to achieve, and it doesn't exist. These comments hurt people mentally and physically. I love that despite this dark theme of the song, at the end of it, we still hear a very important message of accepting yourself and loving the body you were born into. A very haunting track, Misery, leads us right into the mind of someone who suffers from anxiety and depression, and this track shows us how those things affect them and their life. The lyrics are inspired by my lifelong battle with anxiety and depression, and how I torment myself with constant thoughts of self-doubt, low self-esteem, and intrusive thoughts. Good mental health and learning to love yourself is so important, and is really the main message behind this entire album. I think of the song is the first vulnerable one. When Epiphany is more of a fuck you, I don't care, Misery opens up a curtain into the person's mental state. Their thoughts, their worries, their the mental spiral they experience, and how that affects them, and how they're desperate for help because it's hard to cope on their own. Narcissist is a title that kind of speaks for itself, honestly. Narcissist is inspired by one of the most horrific experiences and disgusting person I've ever associated with in my life. This person couldn't be summed up in a simple verses and choruses. I had a lot to say. So I sat down at my kitchen table about 2 a.m. in the morning, sleep deprived and anxious, and just wrote everything down that I needed to say. After a while, I found a rhythm within the words, then I knew I needed a hook. I knew this person would hear the song, and I wanted them to know that I hadn't forgotten what they'd done to me and many others. This song is a promise of vengeance, of retribution, divine or human, doesn't matter. The track showcases Megan's supreme vocal control because rapping that fast while screaming requires mad skill, and her showcasing that skill is an incredible move on her part. Also, that incredible move fits amazingly with instrumentals. Pure disgust at the person and their actions, fueled by deep-rooted hatred and a promise of vengeance. I really don't have much to say on this topic because this song is very straightforward in its message. Weaponized is an intense track in which Megan calls out those who are driven by hatred and spite and are willing to use and abuse others for their own gain. Megan also said that the lyric "composed hate" in the beginning of this song was initially supposed to be the name of their record. The inspiration for that came from watching the Making a Murderer documentary, and how Stephen Avery's attorney in one of the episodes explains how she felt the most controlled rage. She explains how she had a euphoric feeling in a moment of rage, and suddenly everything became crystal clear in her head, and she knew exactly what she needed to do. I related to her so much in that feeling of clarity and rage. I also reference Edmond Dantes, who's the main character from my favorite book, The Count of Monte Cristo, which is also where I got the inspiration for the name of the band. Edmond was also falsely imprisoned for a crime he didn't commit, and then after escaping from prison sought revenge on everyone who had put him in there. Weaponized is about someone who took advantage of my kind nature, then tried to use it against me. Instead of allowing myself to act in anger or turn on myself, I did an Edmond Dantes. This song does feel like composed hate, when you're biding your time, waiting for the perfect opportunity for revenge on someone who severely wronged you. Instead of being hot-headed, you feel, I would say, nothing. If rage feels like fire consuming you, then that state is more cold and calculated. You know you'll get your way eventually, and you don't mind waiting for the right time to strike. That calmness could be very scary at first, but, as they say, revenge is a dish that is best served cold. Is a very emotional track and also surprisingly technical, if we're talking about instrumentals, that is. I really struggled to write lyrics for this song. It was almost completely finished musically, and all that was left was for me to come up with the vocal parts. Again, it was a personal topic, and so that was the first hurdle. Secondly, it's got so many technical layers that it threw me off, but is also supported by quite a sturdy and simplistic rhythm section, so I didn't want to write something easy and predictable. This track actually ended up being the most vocally challenging song on the entire album. This song is about my upbringing and how all I've ever wanted is to make my grandpa proud, and how I don't know how to survive without him and his importance to me. The opening section is clear and piercing-like, and I guess pure would be a fitting word for it. This song kind of reminds me of older 2000s metal, but you still can hear Vexed signature sound, which makes this song even more interesting. Megan said that this song was very challenging vocally, and I must say that I adore her vocals and the melody and her vocal choices on this song. We have much more cleans from Megan, and you can hear her amazing, clean vocal range on Purity, and that alone is fascinating. And because of a very personal theme, this song becomes a tear-jerker in a way, at least for me, because for me, the song hits home in many ways. Drift, though, is very different from all we've heard so far from Vexed. It's a short instrumental interlude that serves as an intro piece into the next very surprising track on this record. After such an emotional ending to the previous song, we wanted something that would give the listener a small break before entering into an even deeper and more sensitive song. Jay wanted an opportunity to play something else other than just heavy riffs too, so Drift is a little oasis of calm and self-expression for him. And that track is Aurora. This is a song to my younger self, telling her that although the abuse she's facing is awful, totally immoral and not fair, things do get better. I didn't deserve to be abused as a child, but I will come out the other side far stronger, more successful, and happier than any of those wild people could ever imagine. This song feels like a conversation with an inner child. Ever looked back at the past you and wish that you could comfort them and tell them that it will be okay later in life? This song is exactly that. Here again we have a lot more cleans from Megan. Am I in constant awe of how incredible she sounds and how high she can reach with her voice? Absolutely, I am. And I am pretty sure I will never be able to get over that. After all those filthy crows, she turns the table and sounds like a freaking siren. That is incredible. And then, very smoothly, we've come to the end of our journey, the last song on this album that is called Lazarus. When we started Vexed, we told each other that it was our last attempt at trying to make a career in music. We'd all spent years in deadbeat bands that were sucking the life out of us, and it was incredibly depressing. If things took off, great. If they didn't, I would give up music, eventually die, and that was fine. Both were equal in satisfaction in my mind. At that time, I was at peace with it. But honestly, as cringe as this sounds, Vexed completely saved my life. Lazarus is about facing depression head-on in a state of numbness and not caring about the outcome. Luckily, it was an amazing one. As a final note on this album, this song fits very well in my opinion. Here we can hear all the doubts. Is this another waste of time, or is there something worth fighting for still? Ending this record on a sad note doesn't feel right. But having a closing song where you pull yourself together just for one more try, where you're not defeated but you just kind of don't care anymore, let whatever's going to happen, happen. I'm doing this shit anyway. Yes, that is very much in the spirit of Vexed. And I'm glad that we had one more taste of Megan's fast rapping while screaming. That is just great. To sum it up, Culling culture is a tale of past traumas and bad people brought to burning, raging light. A tale where rage purges all the bad, letting it all out and destroying it in the fire. Letting you look at the burning pile for one more time, for one last time, and move forward with the determination of building your future as a better place than your, past ever was. You don't have to suffer. You don't have to forgive and forget. If you want to burn it while screaming at the fire, do it. Just do it. Sometimes people don't deserve your forgiveness. Sometimes your rage is all that they will ever be good for. And that is okay. Leave them behind in the fire and go forge your own path. I sincerely hope that what you've heard today in this video interests you enough so that you can go and check out Culling culture in full force, from ignorance to Lazarus. I really hope you do that. I really hope you reach out to the band and you let them know that you've liked their music. It's important. It's always important for bands, especially for newer ones, to get their music out there and to get that feedback, to know that people out there love their music and care for it. Basically, I love their music. I love what they're doing. And as a woman, seeing a female vocalist up there doing her thing, being the queen that she is, showcasing her skill, not giving a fuck about what other people say about her, just doing her thing, writing her music, screaming filthily on the stage, just it's incredible. I love that there are more women up on the upfronts of this industry, on the stages with their metal bands, just screaming and singing and doing their thing. I love that. And I want to support that. I want to support those women. I want to let them know that other women look up to them. Girls look up to them. I love that, honestly. And I would love for this message to spread further. Yes, more women in the industry. More! Not only behind the scenes, but on the fucking scene. Thank you! I guess that is it for today. That was my review of Culling Culture by Vexed. Let me know in the comments down below what you think of Vexed, what you think of their music. Have you heard them before this? Have you not? What was your first impressions? What are your thoughts about their music videos? Have you seen them live? Do you want to? Do you feel like it's something you want to see, them performing? Again, check out the links down below in the description to all of the Vexed socials, to all of my socials. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.